Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Busfare here, and this is going to be my Fiora with a hint of karma deck profile. This is a deck profile that I showed y'all before back a couple, like last week, a couple days ago, whatever. I said I was going to put out the deck profile. I know a lot of people was asking me, hey, you could link the deck, you know, whatever. I said, hey, I'm working on it, but I'm kind of glad that this all worked out because we just got the patch notes. We just got the patch yesterday, and so I changed up a couple things and tried to see how this works. So this is going to be my build right here. We're going to go through the champions, as you know, and then we're going to go into the deck. Now, we're not going to go through every single card like before because of the fact that it's a lot to talk about. A lot of the stuff is self-explanatory. This deck, the way it works is you pretty much have Fiora or whatever follower you have, let's say Kinku Lifeblade, Shadow Assassin, whoever, and you just keep them on the field and you just keep fighting until your opponent loses. That's pretty much how every deck is. But with this deck specifically, it's usually you one follower or your Fiora against the world. You need to know exactly how your matchup plays. You need to know what cards they probably have in their hand and how to play against them and try to make the most logical decisions with this deck in order to push forward and win. So first, of course, we have Fiora. She's the bread and butter of the whole deck. We already know about Fiora. If you kill 2 enemies, she levels up. If you kill 2 more enemies with that same Fiora, she wins the game. Or if that Fiora dies and you have another one that's leveled up, you got to kill 4 enemies in order to win the match. Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna fly through this shit. We're not gonna spend a lot of time. So we do have 1 health potion, just to keep people healthy, you know, just to keep Fiora healthy because she does use Challenger, she doesn't regenerate her health, so when she attacks, she's going to take some damage unless you have other means of defending against that damage. Next, we have Bright Steel Protector. This is a 2/3/2. Pretty much when she drops onto the field, she gives an ally barrier. Really good for protecting those who you need to protect, mainly Fiora here. So it's self-explanatory. You drop her, she gives somebody barrier, bing, bom, boom. Next, we have single combat. An ally and an enemy strike each other. Simple as that. Basically, you just go into combat phase for those 2. Really good for catching people off guard. If you're going against a Elise and you have Fiora on the field, really good for maybe killing 1 spider, using single combat to kill another spider. You automatically level up. If your opponent is planning on doing something that would kill Fiora, then you could possibly use single combat to kill that monster to hopefully win the game or to do a level up in order to gain more health so that you don't get killed by whatever it is. Yada, yada, yada. Pretty much, yeah. Next, we have River Shaper. I run this at 3. River Shaper is really good. When he strikes, you draw a spell. Now, there's a difference between attack and strike. Attack is as soon as you initiate an attack, you get the effect off. Strike, it could be whether you're defending or attacking. As long as y'all clash or whatever, you get a spell to your hand. I don't know exactly how it works, if it's like the top spell off the top of your deck, or it's just a random spell from your deck, but River Shaper is really good. Now, if you use him with a card later on called Vengeance, and you hit multiple followers, then you will get multiple spells from your deck to your hand. He's really good. If you can keep him alive, please do so. He generates a lot of pluses to your deck. Next, we have Shadow Assassin. It's the main elusive monster. It gives you a +1 to your hand. So you play her. You have an elusive that's 2/2. You have you get a draw. It's really good. Standalone. Now, this is what I mean where you're going to be keeping 1 person alive. If you have, let's say you draw first turn, you draw into a health potion, a riposte, a Fiora, and a standalone. As soon as you summon Fiora, by the time you summon Fiora, you should have 3 Spellmon already. Keep that spell mana in case you might need to use that standalone. Never use standalone as a, let's say, as a weapon. Like as soon as you come out into the field, boom, standalone. Don't do that. As soon as you go and attack, and let's say you have Fiora, you pull a spider to you. Let's say they try to buff it up, then you use standalone. It's a burst card. You can activate it whenever the hell you feel like, basically. I would never activate it preemptively because of the fact that something could happen. They could Will of Ionia you, so I would attack first, see what they do. If they do nothing, then just let it go through. If they do something that threatens you and you can save yourself by using standalone, do so. Standalone is a really good card, but you have to have exactly one ally. You can't, this means not one ally fighting, one person on the board, and that's it. We can't have nobody else in the back row. You won't be able to activate it. Next is Twin Disciples. Give an ally +3/0 or +0/+3. Really good for either pushing for extra damage or also keeping yourself alive. This is definitely a great card. I use it just like standalone, as a, not as a preemptive, but as something reactionary to a card that your opponent could activate. Let's say your opponent activates a Black Spear thinking he's going to kill you. Use Twin Disciples, get your +3 health, and survive it. That's exactly what you're going to do. Now, the big one, Deny. Deny is now a 4-cost card. This is more of a mid to late game card. No longer can you use it pretty much third turn after you've stacked up some spell mana, because by the time you get to your third turn and you drop your Fiora, you will only have 3 spell mana available. You will not be able to activate Deny. You will not be able to save her if that's the only out you do have. Either way, this card is still good. I might drop it down to 2. Not exactly sure yet, so we'll see exactly how that goes. Next, we have Kinku Lifeblade. He is also another card that got nerfed. He was one of the best cards in the game. He came out as a 2/3. He was an elusive, and he also has lifesteal. But now he is a 4-drop, 2 attack, 2 health. He is susceptible to catching mystic shots. Yasuo stun smacks. Yeah, he's pretty vulnerable, but he's still really good because of the fact that he does have elusive and lifesteal. He keeps you alive. We still run 3 of him, no matter what. Next, we have Laurent Bladekeeper. When you play him, you grant an ally +2/+2. This is a nice mid game. This is a nice follow-up after you summon your Fiora on your turn. You can play him on your opponent's turn, buff the Fiora up to a 5/5. And then when she levels up, she'll be a 6/6. Just really good for keeping Fiora alive. Just, you know, this is definitely something you want to do. If you have a chance to buff anybody, buff Fiora. If you can't buff Fiora, your next priority would probably to buff a Kinku Lifeblade. Or a River Shaper. Those 3 cards are going to be your main targets for Laurent Bladekeeper. You can use other cards, maybe, but if you have any other choice, you would want to pick those 3. Next, we have Riposte. Give an ally +3/0, barrier this round. Simple as that. Just give somebody extra damage, give them barrier. Keeps your Fiora safe from taking any damage. Barrier does not stop you from getting killed automatically by stuff like Noxian Guillotine or Vengeance or Ruination. It does save you from stuff like Avalanche, so, you know, use it for stuff like that. Spirit's Refuge. Give an ally barrier and lifesteal this round. This card is so clutch when your opponent think he has the upper hand. Definitely if you, let's say you have a Fiora that's 5/5 because you used a Laurent Bladekeeper, whatever the hell his name is. Let's say you have her as a 5/5. Your opponent summons Braum. He attacks with Braum. Now he has 0 mana, so you know he can't really retaliate with anything. Activate Spirit's Refuge, give yourself some lifesteal, put a barrier on, you automatically kill Braum, and yeah, you get life back. Now I think about it, I don't know why Braum would be attacking you if he's 0/5. Anyways, that's just situations that could possibly happen. I've seen it happen. Next, we have... My thing is not scrolling. Next, we have Will of Ionia. It's simple as that. Recall a unit. It could be your unit. It could be your opponent's unit. Recall a unit. If you feel like you should keep your Fiora alive because you might not draw into another one, or it's your only monster or your only champion that you have, use a Will of Ionia. Your opponent has buffed up Braum to insane levels to the point at which he's like an 8-12 or some shit. I don't know how he got there, but he's there. And he has enough. Well, let's say he hasn't even like leveled up yet. You just Will of Ionia him. It's really good for resetting people's stats. I use it a lot of times whenever somebody buffs a whole bunch of people up. I've seen people like keep buffing one person. I'm like, okay, all right, Will of Ionia. Now you got to start off from scratch again. Okay, we actually didn't go through Karma. Usually I go through my champions, then I go through the deck. Karma is simple as that. You know, she's a 4/3. At the end of your round, you create a random spell in your hand. And when you're enlightened, you level up. In order to become enlightened, she has to be 10 max mana. So she doesn't level up until the very end of the game. Either way, she's still really good. She provides you a lot of pluses by just keeping her on the field. A lot of the times you're not going to want to attack with Karma. You want to just going to sit her in the back and let her support you with nothing but spells. She can net you a lot of good stuff. It's not just spells from your deck. It's spells from any kind of spell. It could be anything. I've had times where I've gotten Death Mark, I think it was, what you give ephemeral from one ally to something else. I don't even run ephemerals in this, so it was pretty much a pointless card I had in my hand. But I mean, it happens. Karma's just really good, and then when she levels up, whenever you activate a spell, it activates it twice. So it's really good for just anything. You can buff somebody up twice using a back-to-back or a standalone. You can buff Karma up with a standalone. Next, we have Redouble Valor. Fully heal an ally, then double its power and health. It's good. It's really good. It's a slow spell, though. That's the only thing. This is something you will have to plan ahead. You have to plan accordingly because this is going to be a preemptive thing. As soon as it comes your turn, you activate it, you get doubled up, then your opponent's going to have a chance to respond with something, and then you just hope that you don't get killed by a vengeance. But other than that, your Fiora should be hella strong, and you should be able to kill anybody at that time. Next card we have is Judgment. Judgment is the end game card. If you play really well, you can have your Fiora and a Judgment ready to go by like turn 5. Let's say you have Fiora, turn 3, you drop her. Turn 4, when it comes to your opponent, you'll have 4 spell mana. You'll have 3 spell mana, 4 mana, and you can play whatever as long as you don't use any of your spell mana. But it's probably best that you don't use Judgment until it's your opponent's turn. You really don't want to use it on your turn, not unless your opponent is planning on blocking a whole bunch of creatures. But like I said, in this deck, you don't really play a lot of people on board other than just 1, maybe 2, 3 champions. Man, mid-late game, you could probably get out of hand, have a whole bunch of people on the board. But enough said, you probably want to use it on your opponent's turn so that when he does go to attack with all his creatures and you put a Fiora out there, you can activate Judgment. If Fiora kills all 4 enemies right then and there with Judgment, you automatically win the game. It's the win game. It's the end game right there. So Fiora can have no kills on her. She could be bare bones raw dog, just 0 kills. She just came out. Your opponent drops a whole bunch of monsters, followers on the field. You summon Fiora, you activate Judgment, you kill all 4, automatically win the game. That's it. Alright, so that's the deck profile. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, I am planning on putting out some Teamfight Tactics videos. I actually have one video planned right now, but the video is acting a little janky. I'm trying to fix it up. Thank you guys for all hanging out, and I hope you have a great day. Peace out, everybody.